You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Where in the world is
Carmen San Diego?
Where in the world is our Shadows Over Innistrad spoiler? It's
Holy
here!
cow! Wow.
We're back on the train, baby.
That was a good tie-in for the Carmen San Diego thing.
That was a great tie-in. I'd like to thank my parents for believing in me, and for the Academy.
Wait, did we win something?
Yeah, we won a spoiler. We have a
yeah.
Shadows Over Innistrad spoiler, everybody.
Back on the spoiler train, everybody.
How's it going? You guys are listening to a special short episode of the Command Zone. I'm your host, Jimmy Wong.
How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai.
And like we've already said 3 times now, we have a Shadows Over Innistrad spoiler, and it's super exciting.
It's really awesome, and what's even more awesome is if you're watching the video right now.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be the first people to ever watch an
I'm
animated,
putting my money on it.
yeah, in a fully animated spoiler reveal.
Woohoo!
So Jeffrey Palmer from Living Cards MTG has animated our spoiler card. So without further ado, and if you're just listening to this, don't worry, we'll read the whole card, but you're going to miss the animation part because we're going to play the animation right now.
The card is Second Harvest. It is a perfect commander card as far as I can tell.
It's very good.
Yeah, for 2 green, it's an instant. It reads, for each token you control, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent. And the flavor text, the cornfields promise a good yield this season. Radwick, farmer of Gatstaf.
That was a good farmer voice.
Yeah.
He sounded like the guy from Diablo.
Oh, Deckard?
Yeah.
Or what's his name?
Yeah, Deckard Cain.
Come here, traveler.
Greetings, traveler.
Greetings. Yeah, that's what he says. I played so much of that game. But Second Harvest, holy crap. It's an instant.
That's the first thing that jumped out at me. It's an instant. So it's 4 mana total, again, for an instant. For each token you control, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent.
For 4 mana, too. That's
really good.
yeah.
I mean, every token deck wants this thing.
Yeah, if you're not...
It's 4 mana, so you don't even have to copy 80 tokens. If you copy 4 tokens, that's great.
Yeah, especially because you don't want to necessarily play this on turn 4. That's not the point.
Yeah, because on turn 4, you probably don't have a lot of tokens.
Yeah, you want to make a bunch of tokens, and you want to instantly copy them at the end of someone's end step, and this just feels like value heaven.
Yeah, because they'll have pseudo haste, right?
Mm-hmm.
You copy them on the end step before your turn. It looks like you're not that scary. All of a sudden, you have twice as much stuff as it looked like you had. You only had to leave 4 mana open.
Yeah, not to mention, like, it's a token. It's not even a token creature. It's very specifically a token. So we'll get into more into how you can like do really cool things with this card. But I'm very surprised because they usually don't print this kind of ability at instant speed.
Yeah, the instant part is the first thing I think that jumped out at both of us, which is like, holy crap, it's an instant.
It's pretty unbelievable, honestly. I think the power level is definitely pushed a little bit because this isn't going to have a huge splash in standard, I don't think, at least I don't know, or limited necessarily. Actually, in limited, it could be really powerful.
Just depends if there's a dedicated token deck. Like, think of like Modern Masters 2015, how the green and white token deck was very good.
Right.
This card was probably totally playable in that archetype if you had a good version of the deck.
Holy moly.
So if that exists in limited Shadows Over Innistrad, maybe.
Yeah, well, Spider Spawning was certainly a deck.
Yeah.
But at that point, if you resolved Spider Spawning, you were pretty much on your way
You
to
didn't
victory.
need to double your tokens most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's possible. But for sure in our format, I like how you pointed out that it's not just token creatures, because that's something that I missed at first.
Yeah.
And this set has some tokens that aren't creatures.
Yeah, most notably, clues.
Right. So there's a bunch of cards that create clues, which are tokens, artifact tokens that go on the battlefield, and the token says, pay 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. So
Sweet.
There's a bunch of things that like say, do this, make a clue, and you have like a couple clues sitting around on the battlefield. Well, when you play Second Harvest, you also make duplicates of those clues.
Yeah, which seems really good because having those clue tokens around just means that you can draw a card with extra mana at any time. Making a bunch of those is awesome. Not to mention, it's not you don't target a specific token with Second Harvest. Everything gets a Second Harvest. So your creatures, your tokens, everything that is a token, you get another copy of it, which is pretty insane to me.
Yeah, it works really well with the Eldrazi spawns and the Eldrazi Scions.
essentially you're doubling the mana you could potentially have. So I could see this being in ramp decks.
Yeah, if you're making a bunch of spawns and scions, like in Mazarek, I have a Mazarek deck, which is, by the way, very bad, but it needs tweaks. But this would definitely go in there because, yeah, there's a lot of times where I look down and I'm like, well, I have 4 scions and 3 spawns, and it'd be like, boom, that's like doubling your mana.
Yeah, you get to play something like Kozilek or Ulamog on turn 6, which is pretty insane considering you're doing it from creature-based ramp, which is always impressive.
Omnath, the new Omnath, Titania, they both make 5/5 and 5/3 elementals, respectively. Omnath seems really good because you have these turns. We have a decent Omnath deck in our play group where there'll be these turns where the player makes 5 or 6 5/5s. And then if, on the end step before their next turn, they could double that. That could be game ending rather than just like, uh-oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Arachnogenesis is a card that came out
in
Commander. It's the Spider Fog. Not only are you getting a ton of spiders, but if you play Arachnogenesis and this and then block, you get twice as many blockers.
That's insane. What's the other one? There's a board wipe that makes 4/4s, and then all of your 4/4s, it makes a 4/4 for each creature on the table, and then all your 4/4s fight each one of their creatures. What's it called?
Is it Azuri's Predation, I believe?
Azuri's Predation. Yeah. That can make, if there's 20 other creatures on the battlefield, it can make 20 4/4s.
Yeah, which is pretty insane. That's a 13 mana combo.
Whatever, TDH, man.
5 green symbols.
Mono green. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
But that is a very possible thing that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, Azuri, who is on Azuri's Predation, loves this because, if you do a bunch of tokens with power 2 or less, you get a ton of experience counters. It's a really easy way to ramp the experience counters from him without having to, because a lot of token generators are like X and green, put this into the battlefield, but this just doubles what you already have. So it scales extraordinarily well.
Yeah. It's also good with some cards that aren't making a million tokens, but are going to make a few, like Wurmcoil Engine.
Yes.
Avenger of Zendikar, well, that makes a million. That's a good one.
Reef Worm, which is one of my favorite cards in my Marchesa deck.
Yep.
Getting another Reef Worm with her ability is broken enough. Getting any of the tokens that it makes is
make
just
more
as
tokens
powerful.
too, because they'll have the same text as the token.
Yeah, I think Prosh definitely loves this.
Prosh, oh gosh,
Prosh is
oh
going
Prosh,
to
oh
town
gosh,
with this guy. Oh Prosh, oh
gosh.
gosh. That's what we should say every time that guy enters the battlefield, because it gets progressively worse.
It really does.
And now with this card, I mean, you make so much mana in Prosh already, you're going to just be generating a ton of value and probably going infinite faster than you normally would. Who knows?
There's also, obviously paired with things like Perforos, very, very good.
Aura Shards.
Ogre Battle Driver is another one. Giving it haste, so Concordant Crossroads, obviously. But it does have its instant speed. That's why we're freaking out about the instant part, because you can sort of get virtual haste that way, right? Because the end step before your turn basically means that when you untap, they have haste, and it gives your opponents only a small window to wipe the board rather than an entire rotation of the table.
Yeah, not to mention, a lot of times you'll have a board that even if you drop a Crater Hoof, you're not going to be able to kill everyone. However, if you can get this out there, double the number of tokens you have, all of a sudden you've got an army with the Crater Hoof that would otherwise not have been, I guess, as lethal. Like maybe you could take out one player, but now with Second Harvest, you can take out 4 players.
Yeah, I mean, 4 mana is so cheap, so you can do it. I would expect this effect to cost more like 6 or 7.
And be sorcery speed.
Yeah, maybe 5 in sorcery speed.
Maybe it means that Wizards is looking out for the commander player because it's pretty good.
Obviously, all the normal token cards like Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, that kind of stuff are going to be really, really good with this card. I mean, any deck you have that's concentrated on making tokens, is going to want this card.
Yeah, unless you're not in green, which would kind of be silly. But
I mean, you're probably in green because they're like the best token color. I guess white's up there, but yeah, that's the only thing I could say. I mean, if you're making tokens, this card's going in that deck.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Shadows Over Innistrad so far. We're in the middle of spoiler season, so we'll have our episode talking about the rest of the spoilers when the whole set is out. But currently, it looks like, I mean, it's a great mix of flavor and cards for all formats and stuff like Second Harvest.
It looks really, really cool. I'm excited. All new sets are very exciting. The fall sets, the big sets are particularly exciting. This one has some cool mechanics, some new stuff. I've already seen cards for about half my decks.
Yeah.
So,
which is always a great feeling because we haven't even gotten to the uncommons yet, and there are usually a couple of gems in there as well.
yep, excited for draft, excited for limited.
Yeah, and for all you tribal players out there, oh my goodness, you are getting a buffet of new cards to put into your vampire decks, your human decks, across the board, werewolves, all that.
Gonna be sweet.
Yeah, gonna be very, very sweet.
For our To the Listeners question, in reference to Second Harvest, what are some awesome combos and synergies you see for the card, and which of your decks are dying to have it?
And if you say a card that's a deck that's not a token deck, I would really like to see why.
Or something that's not making token creatures. That's really exciting to me, the fact that this doubles the non-creature tokens.
Yeah. If you're making a lot of gold tokens, which you can sack to add any color mana to your mana pool, let me know, because I would like to see that deck.
I would like to see that deck
Seems
list.
very interesting.
Okay.
It's a short episode this time around, but we have our regular episodes on Tuesdays, so make sure you guys tune into that. But please tweet at us at commandcast or email us commandcast@rocketjump.com. We'd love to see what you guys come up with for this card. I'm sure that we missed some kind of really cool interaction out there, and I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with.
Big thanks to Jeffrey Palmer for doing the animated version of our spoiler card. In fact, Terry, let's play that right now one more time. Speaking of Terry Robertson is our editor. Thank you. Good job, Terry.
Thank you for editing the show. Terry's coming out to LA soon, which is very exciting. We'll get to get some real games in with him.
Yeah, he doesn't play a lot of Commander, or hasn't yet. He's familiar with Magic. So hopefully we'll get him into Commander, and maybe we can even get him on the show editing his own voice, which will annoy him, I can tell you from personal experience.
Our sister podcast for the show is the Masters of Modern. You can follow them at the MMCast on Twitter. Make sure you guys check out their podcast, especially as we go into Shadows Over Innistrad. I'm sure they will have lots of really cool things to talk about with the new spoiler season and with what cards are going to be great fits for Modern.
All right, everybody, we will see you on Tuesday for our regularly scheduled full episode. Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter at JFWong and at Josh Lee Kwai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.